You know, have you ever found yourself in one of those quiet moments, asking a question that feels, well, both a little strange and incredibly important? A question about where all of this is really heading. Okay, let's dive into that, because we're about to explore one of the most profound claims in all of history.
It's a question that kind of echoes in the human heart, doesn't it? It usually pops up during times of loss or uncertainty, or sometimes just when we look out at the world and feel like something about this life is just unfinished. It's this inner tension, right? This feeling that we're wrestling with something that was never really supposed to be a part of our story. And this isn't just some philosophical idea. It feels more like a diagnosis of the human condition itself. It's like our hearts are wired to long for a life that doesn't decay and a hope that doesn't just fade away. And it's right here, at this intersection of human longing and these huge cosmic questions, that one of the most astonishing events in history enters the picture.
So, what are we talking about? We're talking about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And for his first followers, this was not some spiritual symbol or a nice idea. No, it was an event they insisted actually happened in the real world.
If you look at the earliest accounts, these encounters weren't happening in secret. They took place in homes, on roadsides, and in front of big groups of people. This wasn't some private vision. It was a very public claim. The Apostle Paul, writing only a couple of decades after it all happened, he summarizes the appearances just like this. And you can see the progression, right? It starts small with one person, and then it just expands rapidly, building this growing list of witnesses.
And the scale of this claim is, well, it's significant. Paul says that on one single occasion, the risen Christ appeared to more than 500 people at once. Just think about that. This wasn't one person's story, it was a shared experience on a massive scale.
But the claim of the event itself is really only half the story. The other half is the undeniable effect it had on the very people who said they saw it. So let's take a look at how their lives were just completely transformed.
So before this event, his followers were totally defeated. They were scared, they were in hiding, and after? They became this movement of people with such an extraordinary conviction that they were willing to face persecution, even death, for their message. Something profound had clearly happened to them.
Just think about that for a moment. I mean, people might die for a belief they think is true, but to suffer and die for something you've made up, that requires a whole different level of explanation.
And this is where the story pivots. It goes from being a historical claim to a message about the destiny of humanity itself. Because, if this event is true, it suggests that death is no longer the final authority over human life. So what is that deeper meaning? Well, the message of the resurrection gets to the root problem that has plagued humanity from the very beginning, a problem not just around us, but deep within us. The Bible has a word for this condition, sin. And it's not just about, breaking a list of rules. It's presented as a deep fracture in the human heart, the very source of our conflict, our corruption, and all the fears we carry around inside. And this, right here, is the central promise. The resurrection isn't just proof that one man beat death. It's a declaration that new life, a restored life, is possible for everyone. It's a signal that the story doesn't end in decay, but actually moves toward renewal. This one event, then it becomes like a window into a much, much larger story. It's presented as the first little glimpse of a future where death itself loses its power, and a whole new reality begins.
So, the scriptures outline this view of history that's actually moving toward a conclusion. It talks about our current age, which is defined by that inner struggle of the human heart. And that's followed by a time when all the broken systems of the world finally come to an end, and a new era of restoration begins, what's often called the millennial kingdom.
And this future kingdom, it's described as being built not on human ambition or politics, but on divine authority. Imagine a place where the things we all long for, like justice that actually lasts, and peace that isn't fragile, where those things are the very foundation of reality.
The resurrection makes a huge claim that history isn't just random. It's a story, and it's moving toward a final, meaningful chapter. And that reframes our entire understanding of time and purpose.
And that brings this whole ancient event right into our present moment. See, this isn't just some historical or theological debate. The claim invites a personal question for every single one of us. If you know the end of the story, does that change how you live the middle of it? Does it reframe your purpose, your fears, and your hopes right here and now? Does it offer a kind of hope that can stand firm against personal loss and even global uncertainty? A hope that suggests the future isn't just some empty void, but an actual destination?
And this is the ultimate question that the resurrection poses.
Is all of this, everything we see and experience, is it all actually heading somewhere specific? Is there a final act just waiting to be unveiled?
Ultimately, the story doesn't demand belief, but it does invite consideration. It asks us to look beyond the limits of this present world and just wonder if perhaps the story of humanity is far bigger and far more hopeful than we've ever dared to imagine.